I'd love to be the
Almost.
Musketeers. I'd love to be the Musketeers.
Yeah,
Folks,
me too.
welcome. This is episode number 11. Or 11. Nose is the 11. Of our UX performance and content review. What we do is we take 3 websites that you have submitted and we look through and learn, A, from all the stuff you've done right. That's good because we're nice. But B, we also point out some of the things that we feel like you could improve on. That means we're not going to slag your website off and make you feel like rubbish, but we are at least going to help you and give you some positive advice to help you achieve your goals. We've had 3 websites submitted. Well, we actually had a lot of websites, but we've picked 3 websites that we want to take a look at because we really feel like we can help these 3. If you have a website that you would like to submit, please let us know. You can either tag us in the comments, and the guys at Cloudways will put that in, or I believe there is a URL, isn't there? We'll pop the URL so that you can go ahead and submit your own site for review as well via the form, which is probably the best method. Before we crack on, let's do our introductory round. So if we start off with Peacher, can you give us the 60-second Who is Peacher?
I am a UX and UI, design really consultant. I'm a Cloudways Maverick. I am to be found in Design for Geeks. And also I'm organizing a design summit, guys, coming up very soon. Actually, online conference, I'm going to call it, actually. An online conference. Yes,
awesome.
That's me.
Mr. Jan, tell us all about you.
I am Jan. I'm the host of the WP Agency Summit. Behind the scenes, I'm helping Peacher just a little bit. She's really crushing it with the summit. I can't wait to see what your online conference turns out. And yeah, you can find me at wpagencysummit.com.
What he means is that he's been my therapist for the past few months.
Circling back to the imposter syndrome episode, yep.
Yeah. So, he's been way too modest in the role he's playing.
Peacher, has Jan said at any point, and how does that make you feel?
I think so. Yeah, like a version of the above. He definitely has. Yeah.
Let me guess. And your response was... No, I'm joking. And folks,
No, you're not joking. That is, more or less.
Folks, I'm Lee Matthew Jackson. I am the host of the Agency Trailblazer podcast and the host of the community. You can find out more information on agencytrailblazer.com. Let's get stuck in. Right, we all have 3 unique talents. Peacher is our UX and our design expert. Jan is our performance, security, and all-round technical guru /nerd/geek. I believe. And I am your content guy. So I take a look at the content and the social proof and all of that sort of stuff. And we give you feedback on all of those metrics. We're going to take a look at 3 websites. The first website is Milesgeek.com. And I think it would be great if I kick us off. I'm going to share my screen as well so we can take a look at it. And we're just going to talk a little bit about the content. And then we'll move on, Peacher, to you, if that's okay, to talk a little bit about the UX and the design. So I've taken a look at this. I'm not going to make any comments about the design. At first glance, I wasn't really sure what this was about. I could see that there were blog posts. I could see this big, massive, 2 big, massive images here. So I had to have a look around and try and work out what I was doing. I actually thought that this was some sort of brochure initially, and then I started to understand that it's a travel blog. What would be really great if this could open with just some sort of understanding of who and what this is about. Maybe at this point, Peacher, you would be the person to say you could put some sort of messaging in this place here. It could look like X, Y, and Z. I haven't a clue, but I do know that when I initially looked at this, I wasn't 100% sure what I was looking at. What I did was I went in to read our story, and I found out who it was about. And it would be great, Miles or Jed or whoever it is. I think it's Jed. If you could be on the front page. And the reason I say that is because you also have the YouTube channel and you've also got your different social media channels, which I believe you're growing a community. What I understand from this is that you are growing a community of people who are interested in cruising, and you're sharing and your team are sharing their experiences through all of these blogs and being very current, which I was, pretty current, because here you are living a peaceful life in Portugal during the pandemic. So you're sharing what's going on in your lives. There's plenty of images, there's plenty of content to read, which is great, and I actually found it quite interesting and wanted to know more. I found by accident that you have this YouTube channel over here, which you are growing. You've got 600 and odd people here. I've just subscribed. Oh, it was playing in my ears just then. So you've got this. Yeah, you've got this YouTube channel which you're trying to grow, so you're building up a community. I took a look around. You're getting some really good views. You're getting like 3K views. You're getting comments, etc. So you're getting a lot of engagement. So I figured that if people are finding you through your website, that's one of the most important channels you'd love to send people to. So as they land on here, it would be great to work out, hey, what is Milesgeek about, and how can we get them involved in some of that content? How can we get them subscribed to the relevant resources? So that's your Facebook channels, Instagram, and especially this YouTube channel here. How can we give them that one strip across the top that just kind of explains where they're at? This kind of this story being hidden away is a bit of a shame because it's a pretty cool story, but it, also our writers and all of that sort of stuff kind of felt like it was in the wrong place, and perhaps these should have been in at least an about section rather than a resources. Because I wouldn't have thought to have gone to resources to find your writers. So otherwise, great content. Love the images. Love the writing style of your writers, etc. I do think you're missing a trick in helping people understand what the site's about, and driving some of that traffic to this area here, which I believe is your YouTube channel. I'm just going to click on one video. Got really loud in my ears again. The other thing that I noticed was you've got your cruise news and the Buy Me a Coffee. So I wasn't sure if there was any extra cross-promotion opportunities that you could do with Milesgeek. Is this more of a personal project versus cruise news, etc.? Or it was hard to understand what the correlations or the links were between the two. And I could have even gotten the wrong idea. Maybe this here is an advertisement. I'm not sure, but it felt like it was all part of the same network because the branding, etc., looked very similar. So I hope that's been helpful at least to this point. Like I said, great content, great imagery, just unclear on who's behind it unless you find it in resources, what the story is and what it's all about. That's my thoughts. I would love yours, Peacher. Do you want to share your screen and do some pointy clicks?
Yeah. So just a moment, I'm gonna get the tab out of the way. StreamYard.
I do now want to go on a cruise, by the way.
Screen. Yeah, I like the idea of them, but then the issue is slightly that they're not the best for the environment. But apart from that, so you can see my Milesgeek, yeah.
Yep.
So I agree with Lee entirely, in the sense that what we always say is when the first thing that we say when we talk about the user experience is, what do you want me to do? What is there for me to do? And there is no soft intro or nothing that tells me where I am. I have to work it out myself. You could argue that it's not that difficult to work it out but I have to read healthcare in a foreign land. It looks like it's a magazine kind of layout, which I think is a really good thing. So guys, what do you notice about this site? One thing that you notice, if I go down, about one, there's almost 99% no
center text.
No center text.
Yeah.
So that's a win for me.
It's a really good job.
And why? Because
we need a theme tune, don't we, or something, or an animation?
We do. We need something. We need to get a bit more. We need some special effects. So that we can get them when we get them edited. Anyway, that's for another conversation. I really love the fact that because you're heavy on content, as Lee was saying, then adopting the magazine layout is a really good idea. But in that case, I wouldn't have 2 articles up. I would have one if that's your featured one because it's the latest, it's got the most important information, then that's what I would do. But also what you've got here, because to me, traveling is about dreaming. And actually, don't we need it right now? I always buy travel magazines, especially at the moment. I used to always buy travel magazines when I was in an airport, but I haven't been in one for a long time. So I buy them at the newsagents on my street, and there's always someone commenting as I buy them in the shop going, oh God, yeah, I buy them too because we need to dream, don't we? Always there's someone saying that. So if you want me to dream, these are not the right photos because they're a bit depressing. I mean, I love
Bit dark.
lighthouses. They're very beautiful, but the mood is quite dark. So, and that's you know, it might put people off a little bit. It does look a bit gloomy, this homepage, doesn't it? It just the general feel, because also all the other photos, because they're probably recent. Actually, no, we've just come out of summer. I'm getting so confused. I don't even know. I don't know whether I'm coming or going.
I don't even watch the weather forecast anymore. I don't leave the house.
Yeah, exactly. It doesn't matter. Anyways, I know. So that's something, because I absolutely love travel sites and traveling. So I would consume everything. And also, as I look at that, oh God, you're house sitting. So that means you are traveling. So that's really interesting. Portugal during the pandemic, I'm really interested in all that. So making it visually more interesting, I think, would be a good idea, because also you're using system fonts, basically. It looks like it's Times New Roman, and that's also a bit of a shame, because it does make it look a bit...
It looks really different for me.
I'm not seeing that.
I have a sans serif font now that you're saying this.
Really?
The computed font. Let me share my screen a second.
It's Titilium.
Okay,
web.
that looks completely different.
Yeah. So the font looks...
I do have one question, though, for you, Picha.
Yeah.
I've noticed that he has a lot of ads going on in the content, so I would assume that his goal is to keep people clicking through the website so that he gets monetized on the views that he has.
Yeah.
And also probably on the CTR of the ads. So how many people click on the ads? Do you have any advice for him, the way he can position the ads so that he gets more results from them? So
no.
that spinning thing should probably be an ad. Maybe you've got an ad blocker.
Can you
or something
see me?
installed.
I do have an ad blocker, actually. But I don't think I have it on Chrome, actually. I don't think I do. So, okay. So
you're not seeing the ads. So maybe your ad blocker is also blocking the
fonts,
font.
Yeah.
Oh, no,
but
I
I
am
am seeing the ads. I am.
Okay.
It's just slower.
Okay.
So I think, so to me, this is borderline. I've already got, you've lost me a bit. I'm really not a fan. I understand that you have to have them. I'm not saying this is not judgmental in the slightest, not at all. But it's hard to have good UX when I have two ads so close to one another. Mm-hmm. If they were in the sidebar, I think that it would be a nicer experience. I really quite like just let me clarify that to me the layout is great because it's very simple and it's exactly what it should be like. It's very magazine-like, so that's very good. But again, even with the typeface that you see, it's still a bit. It doesn't have that much of a personality. The branding is a bit. It's not memorable, and you can have a magazine that is a little bit more interesting visually. So, and I
for
understand.
example, The Economist.
For example, but The Economist probably have a lot of money to spend. They have the best covers. They've got amazing covers. I bet those covers take a whole art department with like 12 people in it, and lots of meetings to have the good ideas. But this is, it's really good writing as well. It was the stuff nightmares are made of. A dark and stormy night in a small village perched at the edge of the world. Brilliant.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm saying. Why don't you make the visual? And I'm not saying much at all. I'm saying very little, just to give it a bit more of a personality and make it a little bit more memorable. Because otherwise, I will forget.
Yeah. I want to add to what you just said very quickly before Jan carries on. Sorry. This is what I see on one of the posts. I've got a title, I've got an ad, I've got a paragraph title, and then an ad. It's really hard to consume the information. Yeah, so it's hard to consume the information. Those ads are ruining this for me. So if I want to enjoy some great copy, I can't because it's being interspersed with this. It's the same with the other blog post. Even though there's not as many ads, it is being interspersed with big images. So I'm like having to scroll down and find the copy. So that is a good point there, Peter, as well. Sorry, carry on. Guys.
No. I understand the conundrum about ads, because if you're traveling and you're financing your life, but with the ads. I understand that they're necessary, but I wouldn't go back. I really
I
wouldn't.
think there
I'd
are
look
much
for
better ways to monetize as well, rather than using ads.
Yeah. What, for example? Give us.
At least in the
You-
sidebar, they
Affiliate.
could place ads. couldn't they?
Affiliate, for example, affiliate marketing, and team up with hotels and do hotel reviews, team up with travel airlines, something like that. I would take other travel blogs as inspiration. Look, I was just googling the best travel blogs in 2020, and that gives you a list of websites that compiled their personal favorite travel blogs. I would just see what those really quote unquote successful travel bloggers are doing to monetize their sites, and I would bet that ads are probably returning the least amount of money.
Yeah, that's a really interesting take. And for user experience, they are an absolute disaster, because also they are animated. And you know what I think about animations. It's almost as much of a legend as center text.
Does that
they have a
counteract
place,
the center text? So we're even now?
It does a little bit. It does. But I am really impressed about the beautiful alignment. Look, it looks so tidy. It's so easy to find the information. It just, totally proves my point.
Milesgeek and team, you've made Peacher very happy.
Yeah.
Well done. Jan, shall I throw your screen up and let's take a quick gander at the speed, etc.? Ba-boom. There we go.
I'm switching things up slightly. Besides going through GTmetrix, I also want to show what Lighthouse is doing, because the web vitals are becoming more and more important. So that is a feature built into Chrome. You can just right-click on a website, open the Chrome Developer Tools, and go to the Lighthouse tab. And let's generate the report real quick to see what Google thinks how the website is performing on mobile. The Web Vitals are metrics that Google is coming up with to assess the usability and the user experience on a website in terms of speed. So it talks about things like how long does it take for the largest piece of content to render? How long does it take for a website until your visitor can interact with the website? So let me pull this up here again. We have pretty decent scores. Not probably when you're doing a speed optimization for a customer and he sees a 64, that's probably something you won't be happy with. But when we go through the metrics here, the first contentful paint is 1.9 seconds. So that is the first time somebody sees content on your website. It takes 3.4 seconds for your visitors until they can interact with the website, which I think is a bit long, because in 3 seconds, that's perceived as a really long time when you're just browsing through the website and you want to see quickly what that website is about and you want to start scrolling down, for example. It is borderline, I would say. And that is largely due to the largest contentful paint. So when you dive deeper into the Web Vitals, which I would highly recommend, Google Adam Silverstein, by the way, he has a lot of talks on Web Vitals.
Can you make the screen bigger by any chance? Because older people can't read it. Yeah. Oh God, that's oh. Thank you.
No, I can see it because it's so big. Thanks for bringing this up, Peter. I'm so used to the 4K that it's sometimes counterproductive.
Right.
Yeah, as I said, first contentful paint, 1.9 seconds. So that is after 2 seconds, people start seeing content on the website, and it takes 3.4 seconds for people until they interact with the website. Now, the total blocking time, that is time where nothing can be done with the website. Nothing is happening. That is almost 1.2 seconds, which is something you want to fix. When you scroll down a little bit, Google gives you diagnostics and gives you more detailed recommendations. So you have work to do on the web fonts. Consider reducing the time spent parsing, compiling, and executing JavaScript. That means that you have a little much going on the JavaScript side of things. And I would bet that those are the ad scripts that hinder the blocking time. And I would consider, I'm just checking the homepage. If you don't have ads on the homepage, remove the ad scripts from there. that doesn't. Oh, you have ads in the footer. Ezoic ads. Okay, so Ezoic is probably part of why the scores aren't as good as they could be. And then again, we have more JavaScript related things. So I would really, really think about finding another way to monetize the website than ads. That will help with the speed as well. And if we look at GT metrics real quick,
That
scores
looks good, though.
look vastly different, which might be due to the test location. So overall, the site is working really well. Kudos for that. But again, the ads are probably detrimental to your user experience, not just in terms of the design and UX, but also in terms of the loading speed.
That's really helpful.
Yeah, and that is a big metric, definitely.
No worries.
Yep.
Well, let's move
Next
on
page.
then. That's really helpful. Next page. It is the colourful page of figurative writing, and I do have a few things to say, and let's keep it in this order. I'll start, Peacher, and then we wrap up with the nerd, our friend Jan. Sorry, mate. I don't know why I keep saying that. I'd love to share a few things about this. So, it took me a little while to work out what you were selling, but I worked it out. I'm really quite excited about it. What is important is there is somebody called Jen behind this, and Jen is a teacher, and Jen has an interesting story, and Jen has some great images of herself. I feel like I'm repeating myself, like you say the center text and stuff like that, Peacher. I feel like I repeat myself a lot about trying to put yourself in the forefront, and I know I don't do it on my own website. If you go to agencytrailblazer.com, there is no picture of me right now. It's instead all over my social media branding, so I'm not practicing what I preach, and this is something we've been working on behind the scenes to follow up and start to slap my face everywhere, because you, Jen, and I, Lee Jackson, are the front of our brands. We are the people that others recognize. We're the people that others are drawn to. Looking at your Twitter, looking at your social media profiles, I can see that people are interacting and engaging with you, and people like your story. People like what you are putting out there. So clearly you can show up online as Jen, especially on your Twitter, you're showing up as Jennifer yourself, but equally you've got your the posts that you're putting out here, and you are starting to build up traction. So in my thought process, it would be great on your website as well to have you being present. And Jen, hold me accountable. Check out agencytrailblazer.com in, say, a month's time, and if my face isn't on that front page, you have permission to make fun of me. But that was one big thing I thought would be really cool. Figurativewriting.com. I get what you're doing now. You're creating, essentially, if we scroll down, one of the things that we can buy from you, Jen, is this poster, which helps kids. And I saw that kids with their writing, and I noticed here, writing prompts should make kids want to write. That is a great tagline, and it felt like something that could be up near the top, because I think that's your message. I think your mission here is to help children embrace creative writing and to give them tools that will benefit them. So things like that, I think, would be especially that statement, I think, would be good nearer the tops, to give parents especially the understanding of what you're all about, and perhaps even establish the problem. What is the problem that you're solving? I think the problem you're solving is, at least for parents, our parents want their children to embrace creative writing. They want to embrace the creativity. Parents themselves want to be able to teach their children creative writing and creativity, but don't necessarily have the tools or the understanding to do that. So it would be great if you could establish all of that above the fold of this page, helping me understand as a parent that you, Jen, are an expert. You've got your experience. You're a teacher. You've got all this background. You know how to do this, and I can learn from you how I can unlock the potential in my children. That is a very compelling message, and I think that's what you should lead with, because all of this other stuff, I have no freaking clue. In fact, it puts me off a little bit because I don't know what an idiom is. I don't know what a hyperbole thing is, and I don't know what personification is. I also can't read it because it's a bit too small for my eyesight. Those sorts of things make me feel a little bit like, as a parent, just like in the maths slot when my 13-year-old daughter comes and asks me for help in maths, and I just cry because I have no clue. What I need is to know that you, Jen, are someone who can essentially hold my hand and give me all of the tools, these great design tools that you've built with your extensive experience. If I can use those tools to help my children. So I feel like I've waffled on quite a lot, but that was my initial thought process of the content. It really feels like this is a wasted space, and you could actually show up as you and help parents understand what the key problem is and what the key solutions are. You do have your About Jen page, which I enjoyed reading, so that's great. I like Jen. I like this picture of Jen eating a book, I think, which was pretty cool. You've got a great story. You've got a great background. You've got your social media profiles. Don't tuck them away down here. Put them up near the top, get people connecting with you, encourage people with call to actions to get them to connect with you so that you can build up this. You want to build up these audiences here. The other advice I would probably give you as well is in the page transparency, I saw currently you're running no ads. I think this is something that you could actually target people with quite easily, say through Facebook, targeting parents, etc. So finding people who like certain pages that are in a similar niche to you, or maybe they like a baby or a children's magazine perhaps, and that's within the Google ad set, then you could start to target them with Google ads that have those specific messages about helping your children and unlocking the potential or unlocking creative skills, creative writing in your children, etc. You then do finally, sorry, I'm nearly finished. You do have then the products page where you're showing the ebook, which you've got the ebook that I can buy now, and you also have the two products. These magic journals, yeah, that was it. They then link off out to your third-party areas. I didn't notice those, actually. I just thought they were designs. So perhaps a bit of text in for each one of these as well, just to kind of give each one of these a little bit of context. It may be as well you don't actually drive much of your traffic from the website, but I do think the website could do a hell of a lot more work for you. Last thing as well, let's do something different. Sorry, I forgot. There are a few real quick wins you can do here as well. I noticed your meta description is missing, so you could describe that, and you don't have your focus keyword. So if you want to try and improve your results on SEO, I don't know how well your SEO is performing, but there are just a few basics. I'd sometimes use this. It's just SEOsitecheckup.com. I usually just use this to check what are the basics I need to do on any particular page. So this might be worth checking out and just seeing if you can action a few of those. I feel like I've waffled for an awfully long time. Peter, would you like to carry on?
I would, indeed.
Shall I switch over to your screen?
Yes, please. Sorry, I didn't do it on purpose.
Your screen has disappeared for me.
It's now back. It is.
And we're back. Go, Peter.
Great. So one thing that's really interesting is how Chrome, I don't know if you know, people watching and my friends, is that Chrome has, if you see a website in Chrome, the colors are much less saturated than in Firefox, for instance, or Safari. Safari is even more saturated, I think. So that's interesting. So I love how you want to use the color because it's for children, but actually it looks really washed out. I'm wondering, because I was trying to make my colorblind extension work. Can you actually see the? And it's not that easy to make it work. So, kind of long story short, be careful when you use color. There's no time for me to go over the whole palette thing, but you need to use it to actually, maybe I should, I'll just call coolers out. Because what seems to you, if you see color normally, you may think that this page looks very varied. But if you have a color blindness problem, you may not see all the difference that you think people see. So never just rely on color to create differentiation, especially if it's really essential differentiation. Here, I don't see that. You're not really color coding, but always be careful with color and use an extension or there are so many free tools that you can use to check whether what your colors look like to people that have color blindness issues.
Your colors look more washed out than mine when I shared.
They do.
By the way.
I know that is interesting. So I am using Chrome, but what I see in the screen.
That's mine. That's yours.
Wow! Oh my God.
Mine, which is much easier to read, and then yours.
I'm wondering. Well, but it kind of proves my point. Don't rely on color because there is no telling what people will see. I mean,
rely on contrast.
Rely on contrast. Rely on contrast. Rely on brightness. You achieve contrast with brightness. Rely on saturation. Never saturate too much because it's much better washed out than saturated on the web, because some people may find it when it's too bright or too saturated, it vibrates and it can create problems for people with various types of visual impairments. Now, or a different way of seeing the world might find it problematic. Now, another thing I want to say is that, Lee, what you and I say is sometimes I just don't say things because you already said them, but I just like to reiterate that design and content and marketing and user experience, they're all the same thing. We often, there's a really big overlap, because I agree, it's the same. When I opened this, I was like, what are you talking about? What is this? What is this website selling? And it's taken me actually a little while to understand that it is for children, because I know lots of adults that could really do with this. And I think that what you're selling is absolutely brilliant. And I did study all this at school. Like, for instance, I am totally hyperbolic. I talk by hyperboles. I always say, that's fantastic, that's amazing, or that's terrible, that's absolute disaster. You know, that which is that's my way of talking. So I do know all these, but these are basically rhetorical figures that all of us who talk on the web or write on and so on, we really need to know how to use language. And so this is incredibly useful material that you should probably think of making available and to a different niche. I mean, you could definitely target content creators. This is brilliant stuff, don't you think? And also another thing in terms of visual is that I can't read this. So you don't need to put them all here. You really don't need to put everything here. I'm even going to say maybe use a slider.
What are you?
But it is a first.
It's a first. That's
Completely.
a first on a
Kind of an
non-ecom site.
But
By the way, I totally.
But you don't need to put. So
yeah. Okay,
I need to understand why you've got all of these here, because you don't want me to find out straight away simile, metaphor, onomatopoeia, alliteration. I don't need to know. You just need to make me understand what it is you're selling. But I don't need to know about what an idiom is right here. I don't need to know that. In fact, maybe you want to give me a freebie that. Do you know what I mean? So don't do it. You're just giving away too much here. And then also,
I'm still in shock. You've just said a slider.
To be honest,
I know.
I totally did not.
I made you speechless for about a minute, Lee. That is a first. That is really a first. That is amazing.
Watch the replay. I have my mouth open for about 60 seconds.
Sliders.
To be honest, this section really doesn't work for me. Mm-hmm. If you didn't just explain this, Peter, I didn't understand. It didn't make me want to click on stuff, because I felt like, why is this important? I'm not a writer by any means.
You are. You write stuff all the time. And
I don't consider myself a writer, though. And I probably, if I think about what an idiom is, I probably remember what I learned in school about this stuff. But without an explanation that is bigger than the text inside the images here, I have a really hard time wanting to click on anything.
Yeah, but and also I, again, old person or older, find it very hard to read. Making it bigger doesn't help, because well, it does help a little bit, but still. Also, these are images. They're not, so there's zero SEO value here. And you haven't, I'm inspecting, you haven't put any alt text. So they don't help you at all. Here is your opportunity. Well, it's not just an SEO opportunity. It's also that this is not accessible. This website is not accessible, because if someone comes here with a page reader, they are not able to understand what the website is about. They may understand in the figurative that, it's about figurative language, but that's you're missing a big opportunity here, and also a big opportunity because you're here to help people. That's what you do. So you try and be even more helpful by using alt text. Alt text is not necessary when an image is just decorative and it has no particular, and it adds nothing to the narrative of the site. But in this case, they do. So you put the alt text there that explains what you're saying there. But again, as Lee was saying, there is no, what do you want me to do? This is one of those sites that forces me to have a gander around and to scroll down before I can actually understand what it is about. And it's a real shame, because I think it's absolutely brilliant. I mean, as a kid, I loved writing. That changed but everybody thought I would be a writer, and then I really didn't want, I hate it now, which is, but I still really love this. And I think you're giving kids a big tool if you teach them how to use language. And so it's brilliant. It's really great. And because they understand culture, they understand lots of other stuff. So why is this here? Sending me free stuff. Put it way further up, you know?
I think from what I'm understanding from what you're saying as well, Peter, just to help me, because I like to think in tweets for my own brain. I think what we're saying here is that lead with the problem. I think Jan's saying the same thing too. Lead with the problem rather than the solution and the education, because right now we're getting the solutions, we're getting the education,
exactly.
We're being taught at when really we don't even know what the main problem is. And you're right here, you're getting passionate about the subject, Peter, but that's only because you've taken the time to try and work this out. Unfortunately, most potential customers are going to come along, look at this, feel educated at, and leave. I think. Would you agree?
Absolutely. I agree. And now another thing about the color. So you love color, Jen. So it's really worth understanding how it works, because here, apart from the center text, which I won't say anything about, but it doesn't help comprehension. Basically, you're making it hard for me to read. When you align, everything is clear. My eye knows where to go. But you're using dangerous colors here because, I mean, I don't know how big the poster is, so it's probably a bit better when the poster is bigger, but the very light writing in thin typeface against a very bright background is not easy to read. And I think that with a contrast checker, it would probably fail. Then on top of that, you are using complementary color on complementary color. You've got, well, the purple on the green is borderline. The pink on the green is absolutely complementary color. And so is the yellow and the purple. And even though it does look really pretty, but it becomes very hard to read. It basically, I see a vibration. I don't know if you see that, but it really, the two clash together. It's kind of, I can't remember the technical term, but it vibrates and it has an edge to it because you're using complementary colors on top of one another. So I'm not saying don't use bright colors. By all means do. That's kind of your brand. You love it, do it, but make sure that they are readable. And in order to do that, use contrastchecker.com. Really easy to use, really fast. And the foreground is the color of your font, and the background is the background. So I can't check. I was here. What this green is or pink, because this is an image, but trust me, it would completely fail the contrast checker test. It would fail without a doubt. Maybe on big text it wouldn't. But so always check that, especially you with your love of color. You should definitely check that. So I would really recommend that you, as we were saying, think of a journey. Start thinking, okay, first of all, start thinking who your audience is. Think, okay, is it the parents? If it's the children's parents, then think exactly who it is and where they're coming from. And then decide, okay, when my parent lands here, say from Facebook or from Twitter, wherever they find my page, what do I want them to do? And it's always, as we always say, it's the sweet spot between what they need from you, what their need is, and how you solve it for them, and what you want them to do. So it could be, for instance, that you don't want to sell straight away, that you want to instead have them in your list, and then you're going to sell them to them. So in that case, you build a journey that takes them to download something of yours. And I'm sure you've got plenty of things that would be useful. So think about that, because otherwise it's just, a website is not a brochure, and this ends up just being not working for you in the way that it definitely could, as Lee was saying. Yeah?
My turn.
They're silent again. Oh my God, I get really worried when they're silent. Usually we're all fighting for our space.
That was
Leah,
our
you're right.
value packed.
Sorry, guys. I was saying there's a big twist, and then I realized I was on mute. There's a big twist, and Jan's going to share it. Go for it, Jan.
Oh my God.
I didn't realize I was on mute.
No, Peter, you really nailed this this section of the review. I think that's why there was silence. To the speed part
Yeah,
or the
right.
technical part of things, this is the first site we've seen in these reviews that uses Wordfence to detect when the website is crawled, to analyze it. Maybe it would also apply to bots from SEMrush or Ahrefs, for example, that try to analyze for SEO and then put your site's data into their own databases. I love this. I think it's really, really great. Good job on having Wordfence here. Be careful with the server load though, because Wordfence, especially when you run these scheduled scans for malware, it is really resource intensive. So either run them during night times or during times when you don't see much traffic on the website, or I would consider using a different tool, maybe something like Malcare or WebArcs. Those will be good alternatives. Now, due to Wordfence, we are not going to look at Lighthouse, because it interfered with the scan process, and you can see that there are some errors in the scan. Instead, we are going back to GTmetrix for this one, and all I have to say is kudos for optimizing this. It's really nice. 2.1 seconds is a solid time. However, there is still room for improvement, and the biggest one and the only one I can really recommend is working on your images and reducing the size of the images and optimizing the images. That saves almost 30 to 40% of the total page size. So that will again really improve your loading time more. And also what you want to look into is the connection time and the time to first byte. So I would assume that cleaning your database, removing transients from your database, there are plugins for that. WP Transient Manager is one, I think. And you can also Google for plugins to clean the database. WP Optimize DB is something like this. Then you can shave off probably another 300 to 400 milliseconds from the loading time. Really, really, really good job.
Every millisecond counts.
Indeed.
Awesome. Yeah, that was an unusual twist, isn't it? The first time we've never been able to. You've not actually been able to see a website, but that's good. And definitely unusual, Peter, to see the contrast difference with regards to, sorry, not the color difference, but great point with regards to contrast. So it's contrast, not color, because we cannot control the colors that each other sees depending on our settings, screen settings, and all that sort of stuff. But we can control that contrast and brightness. So that's a massive takeaway as well.
I have a talk on color that is hilarious to do, because it just you end up having a room full of people that see exactly the same image on exactly the same screen, and they're all having a big row because everybody sees a different color. So imagine, and that's in a controlled environment, seeing the same thing. Just imagine it on different devices and different. Yeah,
absolutely. Cool. Well, let's move on to our next website. And our next website is Quebec Solar. And I'm going to impress you all with bonjour. I can do my French. I'm also Canadian. If you didn't know, I was born in St. Catharines, which is actually nowhere near Quebec, but I am Canadian. So, hey, folks out there. How you doing? Yes, there you go. You've learned a new piece of information back in 1982. Thank you. I know I do not look old enough. I'm really excited about this website. It's really nice to see a service website in this case where you're doing something physical. We've covered several sites. Miles was content focused. Figurative writing was a digital product and a physical posted product. This for me is quite exciting, because this is something where I'm going to be able to have something put on my house. I'm going to save money. There's a lot of cool things in here. First out of the gate, obviously, you'll talk on real estate and the usage of it here, but, I could request an estimate. I am definitely interested. If I live in Quebec, I am obviously looking for solar panels, and I got it straight away. You guys install solar panels, I can get an estimate. There are several things that excite me about this. First of all, there is this 3-step. So you are sharing with me the concerned person with regards to getting solar panels and all of that sort of stuff installed is I frankly don't know what's going to happen. I'm actually in the market for them right now here in the UK, and I've visited a lot of websites that have just been really complicated, and I've not felt safe. I've not felt that there is a simple process to it. It's all being explained in great detail how you need to apply for this and then do this and do the other, and it just seems overwhelming. Whereas you guys are I can't say it. You're compartmentalizing. Is that it? I got there in the end. This into 3 easy steps. I know it's more complicated than that, but you're giving me that assurance that you guys got this, you guys got me, and you're going to help me through the process. Equally, I can instantly go there for a quote. What I also liked here was if I click on the About page, I can find out a little bit about who you are and what we are. So that's your commitments and your goals. And that's actually important. If I'm going to part with, say, 20, 30, 40K, which I believe probably is going to be how much it's going to cost for a large roof to get solar panels, that is a guess, then, again, content-wise, I'm encouraged. I can see that you guys are a Montreal-based, you're an established company, and you also have testimonials, so you've got that social proof. I can go here and see real pictures and see real pictures. This is helping me build up my trust in you guys. I can tell these are real places that you have worked on. I can see your Quebec Solar watermark on the imagery as well, which really helped. Furthermore, as a concerned person, maybe I want to know what your process is as well. And this sort of information for me is gold, especially when we're looking and we're trying to work out who do we want to work with? How is this going to work? These are the biggest problems for me that I want to look through. So you give me, again, nicely, in a really good format, your kind of 5 key steps so I can understand that, and then I can drill down into each one, and you don't blind me with science. You're just giving me the basics. I get it. I get your process. I want to talk to you. There's a call to action on every page through the contact section, and there's also a call to action as well on the bottom. I'm coming into land now. The only other section that I was interested in was this net metering program. That's certainly something that I want to understand how I can generate money. I didn't fully understand, though, on this page what you were saying, so perhaps that could be a little bit more simplified for the people. The other thing as well that kind of overwhelmed me was this big huge menu on the left hand side. For me, I came as if I lived down the road in Quebec, and I came and attacked this website as somebody who, number one, recognizes they want solar, number two, doesn't want it to be complicated, number 3 wants to trust the company, and number 4 wants to learn, and this ticks all of those boxes. There are a few design issues that obviously Peacher will go into now, and then we'll also then land with some speed and enhancements, etc. So I'll shut up. Peacher, do you want to carry on? You're on mute, by the way.
Yeah,
you've made my mistake now.
Yeah, definitely. Show my screen. So super professional website, no doubt, as Lee was saying, really top quality content. Look how also in terms of user experience, I've got the phone numbers here, I've got the email, I've got all the socials. Perfect. Because I always say maybe people are not ready to call you yet, but you're giving them so many options to get to know you better. Top. That's great. Now here, clearly that's a mistake. That's clearly not your logo. That's there's social distancing there, so that's good. But yeah, moving back to the actual logo, which I saw somewhere. Where is it? I've seen your logo. I think it might be in the footer. So this is your logo. The issue that your logo is that it's way too detailed, really way too detailed. I understand these are solar panels, but this is only ever going to work really big. I mean, if you've got an IKEA size warehouse, then that's going to work. But it's not going to work here in the header, is it? Apart from the fact that it's got, it doesn't have a it's not a PNG, it doesn't have a transparent background, so therefore you can see the little edge. Can you see it there?
Yeah.
So yeah, but that's clearly an oversight, probably, I would say.
And it looks like nanoleaf tiles. These LED tiles you can stick onto the wall, make them smart.
It does. Yeah. It does. Oh God, yeah. He is a nerd. He absolutely deserves the title.
As you can't tell by the Batman light.
Yeah, he's got. Seriously.
The BB-8. I'm no nerd whatsoever.
How many Alexas have you got? Something like 8, 9. You told me.
Too many. Yeah.
Yeah. So, and here I like subtle stuff like this. I like the fact that and why do I like it? I like it because it's actually very user-friendly, this interface, because it tells me that this is the active tab. Yes, of course, there is a drop-down menu, so that's another giveaway. But the fact that I've got the yellow there is actually helping me out. So I quite like that. And I like that here request, you do give me something to do. You request solar estimate, and maybe I would have it up there, but I definitely click on this. Actually, I did before because I actually need to do that. I live on a roof and I really should be doing that. I won't go over the form. I'm getting really, really interested in the UX of forms. I gave a talk recently and I'm going deeper into it. And in the design summit that's coming, there's going to be a really great talk about how to make forms accessible, inclusive, and also how to make people write them. Because I bet that the lady who's going to be on it, who's going to be, why do you need their name? Why? She's all like, you only ever should ask questions that you really need. Or tell me, why do you want my phone number? Because I'm not going to give you my phone number. But anyway, without going into that, I'm going to go back to the homepage. I've noticed that you've got the form here as well. So why link to another page? I would keep them here. Just link to the form here. I don't see why you want, because then you've lost them. They've gone to a different page. I like that. I like Go Solar. That's really great.
I actually agree that the phone number is in there. I think that's a good thing, because if you are considering to invest in a solar system, then you want to talk to somebody.
Yeah, but you can't assume that, and you need to say, would you like us to call you back? We'll call you back. Do you know what I mean? Because otherwise, you lost me. Yeah. You've lost me. I'm not gonna. It's just everybody have their own way of interacting. So and forms are so important because they are the way that we interact with our visitors. So we need to get them right. I think it's everybody should know that. Then of course, and I agree with, because content is user experience, and this is a content-led website, and that makes it a good website because they've led with the content, and it is really helpful for their visitor. It really is. But I'd like you to notice what happens when you send a text. Then you got this lonely little word there on its own at the bottom, and it doesn't make for a good reading experience. It's kind of all right here because the lines are more or less the same, but then it goes a bit weird here again. So that's why I don't like it. And then it just means it's not, there's center alignment is basically not, it means that it's not designed. And I know that a lot of themes come like this, and that's why the web looks all the same. That's every website on the web looks like this, because that's what the themes that we use look like, and we just adapt them, which is fine. It's it does the job more or less, but you could do much better, because I can't really quite read this. It becomes, there's so many ragged lines going on that I can't be bothered. My eye just go, I can't take that in. It's already too much. Also because it's starting talking about, there's kWs, tons, numbers, dioxide, which are not usual words. So you're already asking my brain to make a little bit of an effort, because I am not a solar panel expert. So these words I may not be used to. So if you actually design your content with a little bit more purpose and thought, you may help the experience. Having said this, I really, really think that you've done a great job with the content, and it's led by content quite clearly, and therefore, in that sense, it's a success. But again, it's a winner. But again, it does look like it's something that is much more utilitarian, and it's not quite. It's a little bit. It lacks that sort of little bit of further thought into the design. And So, which is not just about making it pretty, as I always say, it's making it easier for me to take the information in. And this, for instance, is really an important bit because I want to know how much it costs. And thank you so much for putting it here, but you're making it hard for me to read it. You could, there are ways, if you gave a little bit more thought on how to design this, you would make the information easier. So basically, that's what I'm saying. Information is fantastic. Make sure that you organize it in a way that makes it easier for the consumer to go into it.
One thing I forgot to point out as well is, guys, you've got some great content here with some great views. So these time lapses of stuff that you're doing, that's more social proof. So that would be fantastic.
I didn't even notice.
Yeah, that'd be fantastic if you can get that on your website. I also noticed that you had a good number of followers and you're getting some engagement with people sharing stuff. So keep up the good social media work as well. Be great if you can find a way of driving people back and forth between the two and showcasing some of those videos, maybe.
Over to you, I would try getting a drone, getting some drone footage from there. I mean, how cool would that look?
That would be amazing.
Coming back to my nerd role.
I was going to say.
Yeah. Speaking of nerd, let's look at the performance real quick. So the performance 53, there is something that you can improve. And there are two things I would really focus on. This is the mobile analysis, by the way. So the total blocking time is over 2 seconds. For 2.25 seconds, nothing happens, which isn't ideal. And it takes over 8 seconds until your visitors on a mobile can interact with the website. So that is something that you need to work on. Now let's look at the original trace, which is the steps for the website to load, which I think highlights a really clear structure that I like. So having solar panels in 3 easy steps is a great way to start a mobile website because it immediately gets you thinking and gets you interested and makes you scroll down on the website. It's just not ideal if that scrolling takes 8 seconds until it can really happen and you see all the contents. But I think the structure is really nice. Now, what Google says what we can do is you should preload some of the fonts. So by just having your icons preloading, you can shave off 2.3 seconds from the loading time by just preloading one file. And it might, I'm not sure if btheme actually gives you that option out of the box. You might have to custom code this, but that's something I would definitely look into. And then Google also says remove unused JavaScript. So there is the example I've brought over and over again, that the Google reCAPTCHA script is loading on a site where Google thinks it is not used. So that is something you need to look into, whether reCAPTCHA is integrated properly into your forms, because I think there are forms on the home page. That is something you need to look into. And then there is a CDN for JavaScript files using the Autoptimize plugin, which makes me wonder if you really need a CDN, because I would assume that your customers are quite local. They are probably coming from the area around Quebec. So a CDN usually is used for more diversified audiences, and I would try testing it without the stack path CDN and see how that impacts the performance. And then there is some unused JavaScript that, again, probably needs custom coding, and it's also not too big of a difference. 100 kilobytes is not too bad. I won't talk about the render blocking resources for a minute, but then what I want to highlight is, again, this icons font comes up a second time and shaves off another 0.5 seconds from your loading time. So really consider fixing this icons font. Maybe even turn the icons that you have on the homepage into graphics rather than loading them from the font. Maybe that is also worth trying and helping. If you put some really lightweight SVG files on there, they probably have like 10 kilobyte each, if even. That is something you should try. And also, what I wanted to highlight before we wrap up this webinar, when you're using the Lightspeed tool, the Lighthouse tool, make sure that you are ignoring recommendations that come from browser extensions you have installed. So Lighthouse right now recommends that you should optimize a font that comes from the Loom extension I have in my browser. That is always something, take it with a grain of salt, as with any loading speed, that you really think about what the recommendations are and whether they apply to you. And also, lastly, before I hand over to Lee again, reduce the impact of third-party code and make sure that you lazy load and you defer everything that you can. Back to you, Lee.
That's awesome. Thanks, buddy. Really good advice, folks. Thank you so much for joining us. We've looked at 3 websites. We've looked at Milesgeek, one of the things we saw, and there's some great conversations. So thank you, everyone that got involved in there about the speed testing, etc. So go ahead and check out the comments, give your opinions as well with regards to speed and the ads and lazy loading and all sorts of different methods, but also how to monetize that content. And Jed, who is the guy behind Milesgeek, showed up. Thank you, Jed, for showing up, mate, and for sharing some of your comments. So we had a look at Milesgeek. That was a great website to look at. We then looked at figurative writing. One of the biggest takeaways of that was the contrast element, and also perhaps teaching too much before you've helped people understand what the actual problem is you're solving, i.e. parents being able to support their children, so maybe focusing in on that and raising your own profile gen. And then we finally looked at Quebec Solar. If I lived in Quebec, you guys would be the people I'd go for, because you have the social proof, you have the social media, you've got the videos, you've got the imagery, you've got the testimonials, you've got the information, and you've put my mind at rest. But we did also highlight some speed issues and the lack of CDN that you probably don't need because you are localized, but also how it is hard to read some of the copy because of the centralization, and just a little bit more thought to the design to make it even easier for someone like me who would be I'm imaginary local now, reading your website going, I need to consume all this information, understand it, and get in touch. So we've covered a lot here in our 1 hour. Thank you so much for joining us. If you got this far and you are watching the replay, type in the words replay, or just share with us a GIF of your choice, because GIFs speak, well, if pictures speak 1,000 words, then a GIF must speak much more, because a GIF is made up of multiple pictures. Before we go, let's do the rounds on how you can connect with everyone, and then we will say goodbye. Let's start with Jan. How can we connect with you, sir?
The best place is wpagencysummit.com.
Excellent. Peacher, how do we connect with you?
Look for me on LinkedIn, Peacher Neri.
Peacher Neri, the only one. Finally, it's me, Lee Jackson. You can go ahead and check me out over on agencytrailblazer.com. Jen, I promise you, within a month, my picture will be on there too. Thank you, everyone. You're all awesome. We'll see you in the comments over the next few days and weeks, and we will see you in episode 12 next month. Cheerio. Awkward wave.